The Muenster Football Show is brought to you by the Muenster Booster Clubs, Romer's Restaurant, and the Muenster Chamber of Commerce. Romer's Restaurant located at 217 East Division Street on Highway 82 right there in Muenster. You can give them a call at 940-759-2973. You can find them on Facebook. Just type in Romer's Restaurant. We want to thank Muenster Chamber of Commerce for being a sponsor on our Sideline to Sideline show the last few years, as we've been able and had a blast advertising Oktoberfest. Grant Goodwin, my co-host, he actually got to go out this year. Somehow, it's not been planned this way, but we've kind of alternated who goes out there the last couple of years. I wanted to go out there this year, but I had a prior commitment. And so Grant went out there and he had a blast, as he always does. And so we thank Muenster Chamber of Commerce for being a sponsor of them, but they're still a sponsor of this show for the rest of the season. So you can always go check them out online at muensterchamber.com. And we might be having a little bit more advertising in the spring during our realignment shows. Stay tuned for that. But thanks to Muenster Chamber for being a sponsor. Muenster takes by district onto the area round. Hello, everybody. Terry Bennett here on the Muenster Football Show, brought to you by Romer's Restaurant and the Muenster Booster Club, as the Hornets dispatch of Haskell 44-7. And I know I feel like I've said this a couple times over the last few weeks, maybe the most complete game of the year for Muenster. The Hornets are at, right now, in my opinion, not maybe at the very top, but almost at the top of the apex of their potential. And that's what you want in round two of the of the playoffs. You want to be getting better each week. And this is going to be an interesting matchup. Wink is very talented. Wink gave Albany everything they could handle last year in the playoffs. But in saying that, I think this is a good matchup for the Hornets. I think the run defense has been maybe the biggest strength of this team all year long on both sides of the ball. And that's what Wink's going to do. Wink is going to run, and they're going to throw a bunch of different backs at you. They have a freshman that has 1,400 yards. He's been just an absolute phenom. They have a senior transfer who's come in. He kind of plays quarterback, but he's mainly a running quarterback. He has almost 900 yards. On the year, the Wildcats have 3,200 yards rushing. They average almost 300 yards a game on the ground. But again, I go back to Muenster. That's their strength. And also, I think Muenster's played a tougher schedule. Yes, Wink gave Albany everything they could handle last year, but in saying that, you still look at who they've played out in that region, and it's not strong. Wink finished 5-0 in district, and they won the district by 2 games, 3 games if you count tiebreakers, because McCamey had 2 losses, Sterling City had 2 losses. In fact, the best next overall record in that district after Wink's 10-1 was Sterling City's 6-4. And you can go, well, hey, look, Muenster, look at their record. Yeah, but again, let's look at who they've lost to. Bells, Paradise, Pottsboro, Collinsville. I mean, those teams are still playing. All 3 of them, in fact, all 4 of them are still playing. In fact, you can make the case that all 4 of them are prohibitive favorites into the next round. And so that's why I think this is a really good matchup for the Hornets. As always, we'll be talking to the head coach of Muenster, Coach Brady Carney. In fact, we'll do that when we come back right here on the Muenster Football Show on S2S Sports, part of L4 Media. Is your demanding work lifestyle in need of fire-resistant clothing that can keep up? Well, L4FR clothing should be your go-to for quality, affordability, safety, and style. L4FR was founded by a third-generation oil field worker who is also a veteran. Thus, this company has a deep appreciation for reliability and longevity, all while we provide first-rate customer service. Our durable apparel will serve you well for many years to come, whether you're working on a pipeline, a lineman climbing utility poles, or in any other environment requiring fire-resistant apparel. L4FR has you covered. Our apparel is tough enough to resist hazardous conditions while still providing high comfort and style. L4FR provides clothing options to ensure your safety and comfort, whether you're on the job or not. To view our complete inventory of flame-resistant garments, please visit our online store at l4frclothing.com or give us a call at 817-757-4935. Si habla español. Terry Bennett back here on the Muenster Football Show. Now joined by the head coach of the Hornets, Coach Brady Carney. And, Coach, congratulations. First round win last week against Haskell, 44-7. Man, y'all were consistent. I think y'all scored 13, 13, and 12 through the first three quarters. What were your thoughts on the game?
I thought we played well. You know, we came out, scored on our first drive. They deferred, so we got it. We went and scored, kicked off, caused the fumble on the kickoff. We got it, went and scored again. So, you know, when you start out like that, it really helps you, you know, get going. And I thought our kids played well. Played well on defense like I thought we had been all year. And then offensively, we continue to seem to be playing better each week on offense. You know, we're staying away from turnovers. We're getting first downs. We've got some explosive plays here or there. So we were able to run the ball. Nolan Field had an excellent night last week. You know, I think he ran for over 200 yards on 13 or 14 carries, and our O-line has just continued to get better. So Haskell was they were big up front, had some good-looking D-line, O-line kids, and we were able to do our job on both sides and you know, came out on top. And overall, like I said, I thought it was a really good performance for us last week.
Well, and as you and I were talking before we started recording, y'all might be playing y'all's best football of the year at this moment.
I think we are. You know, I think we are. The Collinsville game, you know, offensively, I thought we played well. Defensively, with what Collinsville does, they kind of put us in a bind, hit some big plays. But, man, I can't be more proud of how our kids recovered the week after versus Celeste and played really well and continued to play well last week. So, yeah, I think we're playing probably our best football we've played all year at the right time. You know, this is when you want to be playing your best football, and I think we are playing our best football right now.
You move on, and you're going to take on Wink Wildcats, a team that just loves to run the ball. But as you and I have talked before, that's the strength of your defense. I think this is a really good matchup for y'all.
I do too, and that's what we take a lot of pride in stopping the run. I feel like you have to at the 2A level. There's a lot of teams that run the football 80%, 70% of the time, and we feel like that's the strength of our team is stopping the run. But at the same time, I feel like we've done a good job in the back end. Our guys playing safety and corner have done a really good job all year. You know, I know the Collinsville game, a few big plays here and there, but Collinsville is exceptional on offense, you know, and I think they show that week to week. But, yeah, our kids have played really tough versus the run, and that's what Wink does. So, you know, I give our kids a chance to go out and perform against these guys and hopefully take away what they do. If they start putting the ball in the air, that means we're doing good things.
Yeah, and as good as their run game is, they do their quarterback last year that was real electric. He graduated. But one thing you brought up, they do play pretty darn good defense. They
do. I'm impressed with their defense. They're just very solid, very sound. Got two really good defensive ends in number 67 and 99. Got a real good Mike linebacker in 44. Look to be fast in the back end. They don't blitz themselves out of a lot of plays. They just play real fundamentally sound. They tackle well. They fly the football. So, no, Coach Gibson, he was at Van Horn a few years ago when we played back in 16, so I got to know him a little bit. He did a good job at Van Horn. He moved over to Wink, and since he's been there, those guys have been winning a lot of football games. He does a really good job, has a great staff out there.
Now, to be fair, and this is not a knock on them because, hey, last year they gave Albany everything they could handle in the playoffs, but where they play in their schedule, they're not playing as tough a teams as y'all have consistently. When you're game planning and watching a team that is good like Wink, but not maybe playing the toughest competition, how hard is it to gauge what they can and can't do?
I think that's the toughest thing. You know, we're playing a team that's 6.5 hours away, playing teams that we never see. We don't know anything about except what we see score wise. You know, so I think. I was talking to Coach Marsh, who coaches at Whitesboro, and he's with Coach Fagan, of course, and they were talking last week. I was talking to him on Saturday at the basketball game, and you know they were talking about it. Are they good? Are they a good football team? Are they playing weak opponents? It's hard to ever gauge because we just don't get to see those West Texas teams much, you know. But I do know by just looking at the playoffs and so forth, the teams that we got beat by, the teams that we played are all still playing. You know, you take Bales, who's playing Jacksboro this week, and they got a chance to move on, and Pottsboro, and of course Paradise, and you know we beat a good Windthorst team who's still playing, and a Celeste team that's still playing that we beat, and then lost to a Collinsville team that has one loss to a really good Cooper team. So I know I know the teams we played are really solid teams with really good players. And I can't say the same for Wing because I don't know those guys that well. But, I know that they haven't played a Major McBride like we have in Hotspur, and they haven't played Iglesias kid from Paradise, and they haven't played a slot T team like Bells and a team like Collinsville that can chunk it all over the yard with an exceptional quarterback. So, I think we have played a tougher schedule, and it's just hard to gauge for us since we don't get to see those guys much out there.
Well, you're talking about you talk to other coaches. Is that something you do in the playoffs? Do you lean on other coaches when you haven't, you're playing a team maybe you don't know well or you don't know their region that well? Do you lean on people that you might know that have connections inside there or coach inside there?
Sure, yeah. No, I think every coach does. I've been fortunate enough to be coaching now for 22 years. I've been in Muenster at 14, and we've played West Texas teams, and we've been fortunate enough to play deep in the playoffs. So I've gotten to know people all over the state, and being able to, of course, you call people and you ask them questions, and you try to fill them out a little bit, see what you can get from them and what they think, and guys you respect and do a good job. So, you lean on each other for sure, and I'm sure every coach around here does the same thing.
Here at L4 Media, we talk high school football, 4A, 3A, and 2A in Texas. We talk East Texas sports. We talk NFL, guy talk, movie and booze. We also talk wrestling and so much more. And you can see it all on our YouTube channel at L4 Media Company. Like and subscribe. As always, we want to thank Coach Carney for joining us here on the show. Again, reminder, if they win next week, or if they win this week, of course, we'll be back next week. I also want to remind you, though, it's Thanksgiving. We normally record these on Thursday. Like right now, it's 9 in the morning or 9:30 in the morning. I literally, as soon as I get done with him, our recording, I just turn around and I do the intros, the outros, what we call the wraparounds, and put the show up. Next week, we'll go to Wednesday because of Thanksgiving. And in fact, probably we'll finish up on Wednesdays then, because after this week, if Muenster keeps winning, they're going to want to align into that where they're playing 7 days in between their region semifinal, their region final, their state semifinal. I mean, their region semifinal. Let me get all that right. Their region final, state semifinal, and state championship if they go that far. So now, if they lose this week, then we will do a wrap-up show, but we won't do that till after the state championship game. I like to do those the week in between state and Christmas. But let's not talk about that. Let's talk about beating Wink and moving on to the third round. If you're going to the game Friday night, be safe. Enjoy it. Remember, it's a game. No matter what happens, remember that it's just a game. But, hey, let's keep those positive hats on and get Muenster to the third round so that we can meet back next week and talk about it right here on the Muenster Football Show on S2S Sports, part of L4 Media.